There's a reason why a lot of lonely guys want to be left alone, and they want to stay in their rooms, and they want to play video games, and they want to cope, or they want to just try some form of escapism. And that reason is simply because people are just evil. A lot of people in this world, they love attacking lonely guys and guys that don't really fit in with the general narrative of the world. We live in a society that loves to pick on people, that loves to bully people, but the bullies don't like being bullied themselves. You're forced to do your taxes every year, show the government how much you're making, and allow them to know all about your personal business, and yet they don't tell you what's inside Area 51. They're not going and it's just that lack of transparency, that lack of clarity, but yet they want you to, show your whole soul to them. Yet the government they won't even tell you who was at Epstein's Island. It's just, it really annoys me and frustrates me because I've been talking to certain people, man, and they've been telling me they've been having a very hard time at work where people are picking on them. People are, blaming them for things that are outside their control. And they tell me they just want to just sit in the room and cope, watch anime, play video games, and do illicit, drugs and substances. And that's sad when you really think about it. How do we live in a world and live in a society where you got grown people who attack guys simply because that person doesn't look the right way? As if we can control our looks, as if we can control our destinies. I'm one of those people that believe that a lot of things in life, if not our own destiny, is already written. You know, if you're past a certain age and you haven't had those moments and memories that you see other guys get easily, getting fellatio with a high ratio at the beach, never going to prom, never getting married, never having your first son or your first daughter, there's a certain age for those things, right? That looks normal to society. When you're in your 30s or 40s or late 20s, you're like 28, 29, 27, and you're not married, you don't have any kids, society frowns on that. And when you go to these workplace environments or any social environments, they tend to want to pick on you. They tend to want to attack you for no apparent reason. It really sucks, man. As a lonely person, you have to really stick to yourself, man. You have to really figure out how to find a way to make money online, honestly. You have to. You have to really find a way how to make money without interacting much with people. And it's a very hard thing, right? Because, like I said, I believe a lot of people's destinies are already written. Like, it was already written for Mr. Beast to become Mr. Beast. It was already written for PewDiePie to become PewDiePie. Like, there's people that have been trying, YouTube, even before they started their YouTube channels. And those people probably don't even have 100 subscribers or even 1,000 subscribers. Or they don't even have a video that hit 1 million views, yet they've been doing it for a very long time. Certain people are able to make it. You ever see those ASMR girls? They'll just start a channel and say, oh, this is my first video, blah, 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 blah. I don't know, I'm so nervous and blah, 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 blah. She talks in the video, all those girls do. And then you see the comments and it's mostly men, just kissing her behind, saying how beautiful she is. And the ASMR is probably not even good, it's just that she's just a pretty girl. And a pretty girl showing her face on the internet is going to attract a lot of attention from a lot of lonely guys, and you see her channel just blow up overnight. Meanwhile, you have some guy, who's trying to do ASMR, for a long time. He's been trying for like 3, 4, 5, 7 years, and he barely has 20 subscribers. You see his views, and it's like 0, 0, 0, maybe 17 there, maybe 175 there, and it's just like, he's been trying, he has all the equipment and all that. It's just like some people's destinies are already written. And if you're a lonely guy, man, your destiny is probably already written, unfortunately. I would like to believe that we can forge our own destinies, but I've been through so much crap, bro, that other people didn't have to endure. And I know you guys have too. I've seen the world for what it really is: an ugly, selfish, disastrous place. This world we live in is just so evil and wicked and sick and sadistic. It is. Just look around. We live in a world that constantly attacks lonely men. Constantly. And if you dare speak up or try to defend yourself, then you're seen as the problem. How does that make sense? How does it make sense where you're trying to get up every day and go to work because you need this money that they just created out of thin air and said you need money now to eat, sleep, and have a roof over your head. So you say, okay, I comply with this social construct and this social, contract, and I'll wake up and I'll go to my 9 to 5 and earn this money and pay this rent. And then you go to the job, and then people start attacking you and picking at you. Your coworkers start messing with you. Your coworkers talk to you like they're your boss. Like they're the boss of you. They disrespect you. They gossip, and it's like, look, I'm just here to look. I don't want to work this job. Like I really don't want to do this. I really want to just be inside my house and away from people. Smoking some Mary Jane to the brain, or maybe even getting brain from a bad little dame. You know what I mean? And play video games, watch anime, because the world is an evil, wicked, sadistic place. And you don't want to be involved with that, but you're forced. Like this world is forced. Like this world forces things upon you that you don't want to do. All for soul energy loose harvesting. Like this world does it on purpose. And you try your very best to avoid social situations. I know I do. I'm not really, what's crazy is I'm not a social person like that. Like I'm not a social butterfly, because most people are full of crap, and most people don't talk about intelligent things. Like when I have conversations with people, I want to have a deep conversation. Let's talk about, why are we here in this world? Who's running the world? What's the purpose of all this torture and torment? I mean, we know it's loose energy farming, but when is it going to stop? And why is this evil God allowed to do that? And just other deep, concepts and conceptualizations. I want to talk about that. I want deep conversations. I don't want to talk about the football game, the basketball game. That's what all the normies and whatever talk about, And when you're a lonely guy and you're raised in the religion, like I was, like I used to be extremely religious. Like I read the Bible 3 times, and I read the Apocrypha. I read all the books, you know what I mean? Like all the books in the Bible, bro. Even the things taken out the Bible and the Apocrypha and other little, hidden materials that relate to the Bible. And I was deeply religious, but I was also alone as well. I prayed, and nothing happened. If you look closely and concisely and precisely, you see that everybody who's been in religion for a long time, especially people with my skin color configuration, their lives are messed up. Look at people who go to church all the time. They go to church every Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, or they just go to church every Sunday. And Sunday's not even the right day for the Sabbath. The Sabbath is actually on Saturday. Friday night, really, when the sun goes down, that's the start of the Sabbath. These people don't even read their Bible. They don't even know their, you know what I mean? Sundays for the sun god Ra worship or whatever. And it gets deeper than that, right? But I'm not going to get, that's not what it's about. It's about when you're a lonely guy and you pray and you ask God to send a woman in your life. You ask God to help you make it in music so you can be successful and take care of your family. You ask God, to help you because people pick on you and people attack you. And I'm one of those people. I'm one of those people that people love to attack. I'm one of those people. Whether it's online, whether it's in real life, I'm one of those people that people just love to try to mess with. And that's what got me, in trouble a few times in my life, because people try to mess with me, and then I get physical, and then I'm the one that gets punished because I'm the one that reacted with physical alterations. Let's just say that, right? And it's really frustrating. But when you come from a religious family and you believe in religion, you believe in the Lord, you believe that the Lord is your sword and He's your protector and the Lord's going to bless you, but you're lonely and you keep praying to God, and then you notice that your life gets worse. It's like the more you pray, the more your life gets worse. And then I see people who never prayed in their life, people that openly used to blaspheme this God, blaspheme Him and all that. And yet they'll have a beautiful woman in their life. They'll have a nice car. They'll have a job, a good job, they're not picked on, they're not attacked. And if they don't have a job, they'll have my dream job, which is, doing what you love for a living. They'll have that exact job that I want. They'll have everything. They don't have the emotional scars that I had. People never laughed at them, teased them, bullied them, attacked them. Their family never called them, weird or crazy, And that's what I don't like about religion. It's like you can clearly see it doesn't work and it doesn't function, and it's weird, And then you have these pastors and priests that are just, pulpit pimps. Honestly, they claim to have powers and abilities, and maybe some of them do have powers and abilities, but where did they get that power and ability from for real? You know? And if they do have power and abilities from this God, it's from Yahweh. And then these people are humans at the end of the day. They're not perfect. They're men like us. They bleed like you. And how come God doesn't just heal them and bless them? Like these men have mistakes. Usually a lot of preachers and stuff like that, they're ex-pimps, they're ex-gangsters, they're ex-something, and they say God changed their life. It's the same story, brother. I'm gonna tell you a quick little story that kind of really got me off religion because it's just ridiculous. I want you to Google this because I got to be careful how I speak about this, right? Google the British or United Kingdom term for a cigarette. Okay, you just Google that, and then for now on, I'm going to talk about the British cigarette. So I go to church one time, and this pastor is going to say some stuff because my family always wondering how come I don't have a bunch of girls and this, that, and the third. So they're going to start thinking, about your sexuality and think that you're, a British cigarette. But it's like, I'm not a British cigarette. Then the pastor going to say something, oh, you may like girls or you may like men or something like that, like talking about me in church. Because like my family, like they were close to the pastor, right? So they'll tell the pastor everybody's business and stuff like that. And, I'm sitting there looking like, what are you talking about? I like women, brother. I just can't get them because I'm not attractive. I've never done no British cigarette things with anyone, or anybody. Never. I like women. It's just that I can't get women. That's the problem. It's like women don't like me back. You know, I'm short. I have a skin color configuration that leads to mental degradation and incineration. Um, and I don't look the best in the face. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. But just seeing that, and my whole family, and all of a sudden they think I'm a British cigarette, and you can see them talking about you, talking behind your back, talking, oh yeah, he blah 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 blah. They whispering, they laughing, and making jokes about you, thinking you're a British cigarette. Even to this day, my mom thinks that I'm a British cigarette, kinda. You know what I mean? Because she's like, how come you don't have any woman? You don't have any children? I want some grandbabies. Like, well, I can tell that she kind of thinks that. And she doesn't understand that I want a woman so bad. You know what I mean? I want to have a woman. I want to have a beautiful woman. I like coochie and booty. I'm just going to be real. You know what I mean? I like hitting it from the back and making that nanny snap, that nanny smack. Nanny is short for, poo nanny, right? So I think that's how you say that in Spanish. You know what I mean? Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not a fluent Spanish speaker, so correct me if I'm wrong. But that's what I mean, making that nanny smack. So, but for them, but then it's like my family, pretty much persecuted me about that secretly, and I heard people talking about it, like, they'll be like, hey, they think that you, I'm like, what? Or because the pastor said that you may like men or women. It's like, you see that gossip and crap like that. It's like, how does this pastor know anything about me? And they, oh, well, he can see. He talks to God. Oh, you guys are that brainwashed, yet God can't see and talk to when you guys pass away and that pastor wasn't even there. This pastor will have you paying taxes when you're literally on your unalive bed, and then you pay all these taxes and get assaulted mentally, physically, and verbally. That's why I don't like churches. Churches are just filled with gossip, and most people in church are the most evilest bastards on the planet. Let's be real. Most people that go to church are evil. They think going to church is going to heal their soul because they're scared of going to hell. They're not going to church because they truly love this being. And even if they truly love him, this being is evil and wicked. Who wants to love a God like that? Who? Who would want to love a God like that? A God that's evil, a God that's vindictive, a God that's ready to attack you. Why would anybody in their right mind get on their knees and pray to a being like this when it's evil and wicked? There's so many Bible stories that I can point to, and Bible dupes will still, try to refute it. But you can't refute truth, wisdom, and knowledge that comes from the true spirit and the true soul and the true pleroma, But all of that, bro, and it's like, when you're a lonely guy, people just have to find something about you to gossip or talk about and try to attack you, right? It's like, do you think that most women's going to want somebody who's a short person with my skin color configuration, not rich, not famous, don't have any connections to the music industry, Like, I think around Halloween time I met this DJ, but I still haven't heard back from him. Um, even though he did remix one of my little beats or whatever, but it didn't lead to nowhere. It doesn't lead to any money. It doesn't lead to any to success. It doesn't lead to fame and stardom. Like, I'm tired of these roads that lead to nothing. And I'm tired of being forced in social interactions and social situations where I'm always the bad guy for some reason. Like, this world is punishing me for existing. And I didn't even want to exist. I didn't ask to be born, but this world is punishing me. It's punishing me for just being me. Like, this world doesn't want me to be happy. It doesn't want me to be free. Me being happy and free is me being able to do what I love for a living and make money from it. You know, that's what I want to do with my life. Why would I want to enjoy it? Why would I want to get on my knees and praise a God where I got to wake up every day and do something that I don't want? And you still praising this God? You got to get up and go to work in the morning and deal with this, deal with all types of, bad things. But yet there's people that don't even believe in that God and they blaspheme that God and they're milking and then they get like 35 million from YouTube, just talking like literally. Did you just talk on YouTube and then you get tens of millions of dollars? It's like, how? And yet you go to work every day and work your hardest and get nothing. Like, how is that fair? How is it fair that some kid that lives, maybe in India somewhere, he takes Fortnite clips, he puts the Fortnite clips together, he takes League of Legends clips, puts those together, and he's able to make millions or maybe like $50,000, $20,000 a month, off of doing that. Yeah, you wake up every day, you go to school, you do all these degrees, you do all these science and math and calculations and analyzations, and you still face economic frustration. Like, that leads to soul obliteration, it leads to mental deterioration, honestly. And when you're a lonely guy, man, you got to be very careful who you allow into your inner circle. Me personally, bro, I'm very careful who I engage with and who I talk with, very careful, because I understand that my energy, that's my life force, my energy, my time that I had, because we have limited time in this world, bro. And I wasted a lot of time believing in religion. Like, I wasted a lot of time thinking that God was going to come and help me and put me in a position to win. Put me in a position like Nick Mara. Put me in a position like Superstar O. Put me in a position like, Taz Taylor, where I could do what I love for a living and actually get a beautiful woman in my life, have children, get married, have a nice car, have a nice home, and live a good life. This God doesn't want us to have a good life. If I was God, honestly, I would bless everybody because I have infinite potential. Why would I not bless something that I created? Well, I know the truth behind that because this is not the real God. This is the demiurge. This is Yaldabaoth. He's a God that's punishing us because we don't really come from this God. Our souls is from another dimension. This God was created as a mistake from the from Sophia, from the Aeon Sophia, So this God's an abomination and an accident of creation, but he does have the power to create because of who his mother is, Read the Gnostic text on the Pistis Sophia, and you understand what I'm saying even more. My old channel, I used to have a whole playlist of this so you could get what I'm saying. But a lot of people who subscribe to my channel, they're into Gnosticism. They're into this. They know the God of this world is evil, But this God he has power over us because we always engage in low vibrational frequency. Remember, this God, he rules the flesh. He rules in the spirit world. He does rule as low vibration. Low vibration meaning anger, fear, things of that nature. You're always in pain. You're always going through things that make you go insane. You're always going through these mental battles, And it's brutal and it's not right, honestly. It's not right that a lot of us just want peace in this life and we can't find it, man. That's honestly not right. I would do anything, man. Anything to be able to live my dreams and ambitions. I'll do anything to have a beautiful woman in my life. Hell, recently, I think I erased the comment on her channel, but it was a few ASMR girls actually went on their channel. And, on my playlist on this channel, I have my song Dream Girl. And I was sending them that song, said I wrote the song for you and all that. Like, I was wilding, bro. Like, I just wanted female attention. And that was just so out of my character. But I've been alone without a female for, a while without having that real love, that real authentic love, And somebody asked me a question. They were like, Why do you think because you don't have a woman in your life, you think that that affects all aspects of your life? Because it does. It's not good for men to be alone. It's not good for you not to have a woman in your life. A woman can motivate you. A woman can change your moods. There'll be days where I be going through it, bro. I turn on an ASMR video. I see a beautiful girl, like ASMR glow, somebody like that, and my whole mood changes. Just looking at her beautiful face and her smile, and my whole mood changes. Or any other ASMR, girl, whatever. It's just the beautiful ones, and I cope, you know, playing these elaborate fantasies and role plays in my mind about us dating and going to Disneyland and all that blue pill normie, stuff. Because that's what my heart desires, but I can't have it. So it's my soul's on fire. I desire companionship with a woman. I desire to have a beautiful woman with a fat behind in my life. You know what I mean? Well, knows how to wear that dress, knows how to, like if she see me playing, Xbox or something like that, she already got the cush rolled up. She comes, pulls down my shorts, you know what I mean? And just start giving me fellatio with a high ratio. I'm like, hell yeah, then, I put the controller down and start hitting it from the back and making that natty smack. You know what I mean? And having a good time, like, I don't know about you guys, man, but being a lonely guy in this world, it feels like the world is really against you. It feels like the world really doesn't want you to win. Like, it feels like you've been sabotaged in life. You ever felt that way? Like life just sabotages you? And it doesn't matter if you have the talent, you have the mental fortitude, or you actually have the ability or spiritual agility. This life is going to attack you, and it's just annoying. I just want peace and happiness. I don't want people, bothering me. Just leave me alone. If I don't bother you, don't bother me. That's my whole thing. If I haven't done nothing to you, if I haven't bothered you, leave me alone. And don't attack me first. And then if I retaliate by defending myself, and then you get mad that I retaliated, but you were the first one to attack me first, why don't you just mind your business and leave me alone? There are millions of people in this world, millions of people with YouTube channels. Why in the heck would you pick on me and attack me? That lets me know that it's coming from the demiurge. He sees my potential and doesn't want me to reach it. So he does everything in his power to make sure that I don't. And I do everything in my power to make sure that I don't bow to an evil, wicked, twisted, sadistic creature like that, who claims to be a god, but acts more like a fraud, acts more like a dictator, acts more like a tyrant that rules our flesh and souls for now, unfortunately. Absolutely brutal.